Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, and I once again had some help getting a hold of a Wave 1 Age of Extinction Voyager figure. After Cybertron.ca's The Seventh Parallel helped me pick up Grimlock, Face Forward on Twitter and YouTube proxied Evasion Mode Optimus Prime to me, all the way from another province. Thanks, dudes. This is the Voyager I most wanted to get my hands on after Toy Fair this year, and I certainly have left a lot of DNA on its body within the first 24 hours. Finger DNA! Oh my god, you gutter minds! Straight out of the movie, except for its colors, comes Evasion Optimus Prime's Yo Check Out My G1 truck mode. While it's got asymmetrical smokestacks and an extra layer of bulge on the rear trailer hitch area, this is very obviously meant to evoke the 1984 Optimus Prime alt mode, and the paintwork carries that message extremely loudly, from the bold blue and red colors to the silver stripe running around the cab's midriff. Sadly, that silver isn't found on the hubcaps, but the dark and slightly shiny gray plastic of the side cylinders and smokestacks is a decent stand-in on those bits. Sadly, this isn't all fun games, rosy lenses, and Cocoa Puffs, though. The clear windows on the front of the cab are abysmal, not only showing off all the robot mush crammed behind them, but also a little unevenly placed and never quite seamless along their silver rims. Honestly, the thing that bugs me the most is the clear plastic. Maybe I'd be less annoyed if it were tinted, but either way, it causes some of the paint budget to be spent on a few spots of red paint that simply camouflage themselves against nearby red plastic. There are also a few ports to store Prime's included weapon, and yo, check it out, they all look super dumb. At best, it looks like it's lying on top of the trailer hitch. At best, I just leave it to one side myself. But hey, this thing rolls well, and despite being a little small next to other Trans4mers car robots, looks kinda cool alongside his fellow Evader, high-octane Bumblebee. And yo, this thing? It's a Transformer! So he's technically transforming like G1 Optimus did, only instead of growing a pair of arms, Evasion Prime's cab section turns inside out! This is actually less crazy than it looks or sounds, once you get used to the order of operations. The trickiest bit is getting the arms out from their spaces near Prime's head. After that, it's all pretty logical, and friggin' solid. The legs are much simpler and way more of a G1 throwback, but despite the easy execution, the way his shins invert while his feet unfold is some damn clever design work. And once all is said and done, Evasion Optimus tabs together like everywhere, and will not come apart until you want him to. This is, almost literally, the original movie Optimus robot design after fasting for a few months. He's slimmer everywhere, but is covered in sculpted surface detail that throws back to that old design. Like, it's everywhere! This is a very impressive sculpt. And unfortunately, a little diminished due to the very simple arrangement of color. Suffering as many other vehicular toys have of late, Evasion Optimus loses a lot of his paint budget to the coating of sections of clear plastic that surround sculpted windows. Regardless, the G1-ity of his simple blocks of red, blue, and shiny gray would have still worked for me if it weren't for those deadening blue biceps. And what's crazy is that his feet and hands are actually cast in the dark gray polymer I'd have liked to see up there and are painted completely blue. If these parts had been switched around in the steel mold, everything would be better. And since it's so insanely backwards, I have to imagine there's some reason that's over my layman head as to why things happen the way they did. Perhaps it's to accommodate the methods by which some future repaints will work. I don't know. The head sculpt is very strong, though you need to look at it up close to see a lot of the detail. I mean, this is well done. I can see a lot of familiar faceplateless Movie Prime patterns in there. If only I liked what Movie Prime looks like when his weird nasal wedge is visible for all to see. There is a face-plated sculpt for this toy, currently confirmed to make an appearance in the Platinum 2-pack, and that's definitely my preferred look. But I can't deny the impressive detail packed into this little noggin. There's even light piping. Entirely colorless light piping. The gun that's packed in with Evasion Optimus is called an Ion Blaster, but you and I both know it's the Dark of the Moon deceased Megatron shotgun. The one he used to blow a hole through an elephant's head in the graphic novel. The one that splattered Sentinel Prime's brains all over a Chicago bridge. It has a spring-loaded missile. Feel free to lose it. This thing kinda looks awkward in Prime's hands, but thanks to some incredibly thoughtful design work, there are tabs on the proper handle that allow Dark of the Moon Voyager Megatron to finally wield his trusty buckshot. I feel so happy. This Megatron is one of my favorite movie toys, and Hasbro just produced an accessory for him nearly 3 years after his release. Enjoy. They call him Evasion Prime because he can all be like he's evading. You think you see him. Whoop! No, you don't. You think it. Nope! Anyway, his posability is friggin' cool, man. His head is like ball jointed, right? But then the base of the neck can also tilt forward like this, and there's a lot of room on the ball jointed neck, so as you can then tilt his head up like this and have him like looking up or way up, or like button his head forward like he's gonna start something. And it's a good range, man. His shoulders are universal joints, and yo, they work. His biceps work. His elbows work, but they're kind of weird because the sculpt is all like, now his arm is straight. If you bend the elbow to totally straighten it, you kind of break the sculpt a little bit. I don't really care too much, but some people might care about that. I think it's kind of fine, but if you don't like it, then boom, there you go. His wrists do swivel, but holy crap, they're tight. Like, that's super friggin' tight. I used the whole thing of sticking the gun in and using that as a fulcrum, but his wrists do swivel. His waist even swivels. And I thought this was going to be part of the transformation. It is not. That joint is just there because whoever built this toy is a kind and wonderful person. His hips are universal joints, and check this out. So his wheels move like this. Now, for the transformation, you move them out about that much. But they move out like this for a reason I discovered after having this guy for about a day or two. So, let's say you're bending his leg up. Oh, the wheel hit it. Oh yeah? Well, guess what? Now, you can bend his leg all the way out. This is basically to accommodate the entire range of the hip joint. Again, super friggin' thoughtful design and a great way to make it look like the wheels are always attached to his hips, even though they're more so attached to his hips. He's got a thigh swivel, and it's underneath that sculpting. Now, if you don't pull his kneecap things forward, if you leave him flat like this, there's a good chance they'll get jammed up under there and start preventing the range of the thigh swivel or get scratched up or worse, so make sure they're folded forward. His knees have a pretty good friggin' range for what is a simple hinge knee. And then, if you don't really care, again, about the sculpt, because you see how the legs are all lined up here, and then they're not, you can bend this and then bend the inside of his shin further if you want to have his foot up like that. Doesn't really accomplish much, but I know someone out there is totally stoked to break some shins. The ankles can move forward and backwards, and they have a dedicated tilt that goes kind of in the wrong direction for most of its range. You can also tilt things inwards a bit, but generally, for whatever reason, there's about another, like 10 degrees out this way. I don't know. It's kind of funny. So he's really posable. And I just want to quickly call out a few of the movie 1 details. I compared this guy to a screenshot of Optimus from the original movie trilogy, because in number 3, his just kind of this changed a little bit. But there are the smokestacks there. There are these spiky things here. Again, all this stuff is there. It's not picked out in paint, though, so it's not very obvious. He's got all this gahoobery jiggly muff in here. The little cylinder up here, this is bigger in the CG model, but there is a little cylinder on top of his shoulder. The shape of the plating on his forearm is very reminiscent of the original movie design. These round, curved things are from the movie model, as are the placement of the headlights and all this stuff. This is the really obvious stuff here. Down here, these 2 dots, this, like, penile grate is again from the design. The 4 dots on his thighs, 1, 2, 3, 4, are from the movie design. Kneecaps, the legs. Down here it gets a bit more obvious. The feet are, of course, the old movie design. So the sheer amount of stuff on this guy that calls back to his original movie form is just great. It's like a really cool hidden detail, and if someday we get one of these that just goes all balls out and picks it all out in a premium paint job, I think that could be a super gorgeous toy, and I hope that that's something I don't have to do myself. I hope that I can just, like, I don't know, pay Japan and have it manufactured for me. Evasion Mode Optimus Prime suffers the most in his coloration, and it's not even altogether terrible. The blue biceps and clear vehicle mode windows are the key offenders. The clear pectoral windows in robot mode are actually quite well done, but the vehicle mode ones should have just been red plastic painted silver, like the side windows. But enough about windows! The base figure, whatever paint's been applied to it, is friggin' fantastic. Both modes are super strong, the transformation is intense, and man, I love the sheer cheek of making such a G1 love letter in the movie line for movie number 4, like 7 years into all this. Also, it's kind of awesome how you get the G1 truck turning into the original movie robot, especially when one reason for Movie Prime's long-nosed alt mode was apparently to allow for enough mass for him to properly transform into the biped that he is. I guess technology's just advanced or something since 2007. I highly recommend a version of this figure. There are at least 4 Evasion Mode Optimus Primes coming out, with at least one face-plated head sculpt among them. Whether you pick up this one, the Japanese one, the Platinum one, the Then and Now one, or whatever other ones come out in future, Evasion Optimus is a mold that satisfies on many levels. He's definitely my top figure in all the opening Age of Extinction stuff, just eking his way over Scorn in my personal rankings. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and there are no other Wave 1 Trans4mers Generations toys for me to cover. So, now, I guess I'll see what happens next, sometime after May 17th. Unless Wave 2 just starts showing up and Canadian distribution actively begins teabagging Americas. True North strong and free, baby.